Knuckleheads, welcome to my David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde post-fight show. This is my reaction post-fight show to the Ring 4. And I got to say, it was a fantastic card from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Shout out to Riyadh Season. I think they did a great job with this event. This card was stacked. This card was a lot of fun. I will say I got to take a little bit of credit because I got these predictions right, pretty much. I would say all of them. I got all of them right. And, some things didn't go as expected, right? Some things didn't go as expected. But all in all, I think things went the way I expected. Let's start first and foremost with the main event. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde, El Bandera Roja. I expected this fight. To be a war. These are two very aggressive guys, big punchers, a lot of experience, beasts in the light heavyweight division. And I expected this fight to be a war in the main event between Benavidez, in my prediction, and Anthony Yarde. I thought it was going to be, I thought it could potentially go to decision. I thought either that, or I thought maybe David Benavidez would end the fight between, the 9th and the 12th round. So I was correct in thinking that David Benavidez was going to win, but I didn't expect him to get the job done so quickly in the 7th round, just a little bit earlier than I expected. And I didn't expect that to happen because, if you guys remember when he first started wading into the deeper waters of light heavyweight versus Alexander Gvozdyk and these guys, he wasn't able to get Gvozdyk out of there. It was a 12-round fight. And Gvozdyk, had been stopped by Benavidez. So I said to myself, well, he's either not that big of a guy at light heavyweight and his power isn't carrying, or he's going to need some time to get acclimated. And, David Benavidez never really been that one-punch knockout kind of guy, right? He's the kind of guy that hits you with like a Killer Instinct ultra combo, 25 hits, and gets you out of there. And that's what he did tonight. And he did it tonight at the light heavyweight division against a guy in Anthony Yarde who I thought it would be a better fight, but as I continue to watch the fight, as you're watching, you start remembering people's habits and how they fight. And I said to myself, wow, this guy is slowly but surely showing himself to be tailor-made for David Benavidez. But here's the problem with David Benavidez, right? Knuckleheads, David Benavidez is a real problem. By the way, subscribe, join the channel, leave your comments in the chat, and we'll discuss. I want to hear your opinions as much as I want to give mine. David Benavidez is a real problem, Knuckleheads, because he's tall. They mentioned he has narrow shoulders, right? So that's going to affect his wingspan when you're studying him. It's going to undermine what you think about his wingspan because his arms are actually pretty long. But because his shoulders are narrow, it's deceptive. He's tall. He's got long arms. He can fight on the inside. Because he's so long, he can fight on the outside. His defense is unorthodox. He's tough. He leans back with his defense. He squares up. He does all kinds of stuff that you're not supposed to do and still gets away with it. At the same time, I think he fights correctly. He's mostly on his back foot. He really uses his range correctly. And then he's got superpowers, right? He could throw a 20-punch combo at 175 pounds with the speed of a middleweight or a lightweight. You know what I mean? His feet aren't the best feet, but they're not bad. He moves around pretty well. He cuts off the ring well. I don't ever see him get tired, regardless of how many punches he throws. He hits hard. He can knock you out. He can outbox you. The guy's just a real, and because his amateur background was probably not very big, right? Because his amateur background is not very big, I don't think he's taken that much damage. So I think he's got a tremendous upside. I mean, this guy's just a real problem, right? Think about it. So I'm, and that's what I was thinking about as I watched Anthony Yarde try to figure this puzzle out. What is Anthony Yarde supposed to do? Anthony Yarde, he can't keep up with the combos, right? Anthony Yarde's got pretty fast hands and he hits hard, but he can't throw combinations like David Benavidez can. He's not as tall. He can't box on the inside anywhere near as good because David Benavidez is a buzzsaw on the inside. So he was forced to stay on the outside, fight off the back foot against a guy taller than him with, seemingly longer arms than him, longer arms, fighting off the back foot. He definitely doesn't have the stamina David Benavidez does. And so he had to pretty much rely on landing one big punch against David Benavidez. I mean, that was kind of his only hope, was Anthony Yarde's to win this fight. He was going to have to land something big and hurt David Benavidez, and he couldn't do that. And he wasn't willing to go inside and mix it up with David Benavidez because that's like jumping into a wood chipper. I mean, the guy's a real problem when you think about it, right? If, let's say you're a better boxer than him, you're probably not going to be as tall. You're probably not going to have as long arms. You're probably not going to be able to hit as hard. You're probably not going to have the combination punching he has, even if you're a better boxer than him. Let's say you're a bigger puncher than him. Well, he's got 12 other attributes that he could counteract that with. So I'm not sure what the prototype is, right? For somebody to beat a guy in David Benavidez who might not even be in his prime yet at 29 years of age, can punch hard, can throw combinations at a blistering pace, doesn't get tired, he's tall, he's got a chin, he fights correctly, he's patient, he's mature. Bivol is the only guy that's got a shot. Dimitri Bivol. Maybe Dimitri Bivol. Maybe that's what it is. He's the only guy who's elite enough, in my opinion, to beat a David Benavidez. And I'm not sure David Benavidez is priming. And I'm not sure Bivol gets the job done. I mean, the Bivol I've seen lately can get the job done, but we've seen Bivol be a little bit inconsistent in his career, right? Let's not forget, his last few fights, he's looked incredible. Don't get me wrong, his last few fights, he's looked incredible. But there have been times in Bivol's career where he wasn't that consistent. But he's a natural light heavyweight. I mean, I think that is the best fight to make. That's the best fight to make, Dimitri Bivol. Anyway, David Benavidez, man, looked fantastic. Did his thing again. One of, if not the best, light heavyweight outside of Dimitri Bivol. That's the only fight to be made, and that's a tough fight to pick. That's a pick'em fight for me. I don't know who I pick in that one. I might lean towards Bivol a little bit. But I don't know what happens in the later rounds when Benavidez just keeps coming and coming and coming, walking you down like a zombie. He's not the Mexican monster. He's the Mexican zombie out there. That's what his nickname should be instead of Mexican monster, because he just keeps coming and coming. Then he tells you, come on, hit me. Hit me. I want it. I want it. I want to eat. I want to eat those punches. That's what he did to Anthony Yarde today. Crazy. Crazy performance. Anthony Yarde, I got so much respect for him. I've always been a huge fan of Anthony Yarde. I'll continue to be a huge fan of Anthony Yarde. I hope he continues to get opportunities. This was not his best performance at all. He is a little bit older. I'm not sure if he's going to get another shot like this. But, man, he went out there. He put it all on the line. He did it against Benavidez, Beterbiev, Sergey Kovalev. This guy made a huge name for himself, made a great living for himself, and, gets a lot of respect, man. Down to fight anybody. I just got a lot of respect for him. Before we get into the co-main event, I mean, that's all I have to say about that fight. Benavidez just amazing, better than expected, even better than expected, and I was already expecting something great. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join the channel, help me continue to grow. It's just $9.99 a month, or get your Fightersrep merchandise in the link below to become a part of Knucklehead Nation, where we drop videos almost daily. And, sometimes they're funny, but sometimes they're not. And they're about boxing for the most part. But I'm going to be talking about all kinds of sports on here because I love sports. But boxing is the thing we focus on the most because we're men here and we love to fight. Shout out Kamikaze. He's in here. He says, Saludos, just as what I had thought. Haney raising his level when the opposition gets better. Credit to Norman. Benavidez looked good. Wish we could get Benavidez, Beterbiev. Oh, man, that would have been Kamikaze. That would have been unbelievable. A fight between Beterbiev versus Benavidez. But I do think, Beterbiev is definitely in the twilight, probably on his way out the sport at this time. But imagine both of them in their prime. That would be incredible. And we did. You were right about Haney. We spoke about Haney. I was right about Haney, too. I predicted that fight, and we'll go into that next. The co-main event, Brian Norman defending his title against Devin Haney. And here's another fight I picked correctly. This one was trickier, obviously, than the Benavidez fight. I mean, I think Benavidez was expected to beat Anthony Yarde, whereas, people weren't sure about Devin Haney after his last performance against Jose Ramirez. And it was a concern for me as well. It was a concern for me as well because Devin Haney looked like Anthony Joshua looked after his first Ruiz fight, just trying to get out of the way, just trying to, move around, stick and move. That's what Devin Haney, I mean, I wouldn't even say stick and move. It was more like move and stick against Jose Ramirez. I mean, Devin Haney just didn't look good in that fight. Got the win, but looked terrible. And today he came out, and I said in my prediction, if we get the Devin Haney that showed up for Regis Prograis, which is the best one I had seen, then he's going to win this fight. And I was expecting somebody more along those lines because I do think Devin Haney is a really good boxer. I think he's really good. And I don't think Brian Norman is on that level. Shout out Hawker Mustang, says Norman failed his fraud check today. I think what happened, guys, is that Devin Haney snapped out of the little hyper defensive, fearful mode he was in after that Ryan Garcia, and we saw that mode in that Jose Ramirez fight. He snapped out of it a bit. But here's the facts with Devin Haney, in my opinion, right? I said if we get the Devin Haney we see in the Regis Prograis fight, it'll be a great fight. I was hoping that's what we would get. Excuse me, and we got it a little bit, but we didn't get a lot from Norman, right? Norman proved himself to be a bit more basic, I think, than we were hoping for. Here's the thing with Haney, though. That's the best you're going to get out of Haney. Haney is never going to put himself more at risk than what you saw today and what you saw against Regis Prograis. I don't believe he will. I think he's too far along at this point to change any more and become any more exciting than what we saw today. And while it was exciting to watch him drop Brian Norman Jr., I believe it was in the second round, right? And it did show flashes of that Regis Prograis fight when he was aggressive and hurting Regis and dropped him. You're not going to get more than that out of Devin Haney. For Devin Haney, if he dropped you one time, he's ahead in the fight. He's coasting. That's good. That's good for him. I don't know what it is. Maybe he just doesn't have a killer instinct, but he's got a winner's style. He comes, he moves around, he hits you when he needs to. He doesn't let you get off because he'll wrap you up right away or get out the way, and he'll win the fight. Now, is that style going to be enough to win him fans and earn him another fight in Saudi Arabia with Turki Al Sheikh? That remains to be seen. I think it probably will. But if you ask me at this point, I've been holding out hope for years with Devin Haney, right? And I've been hoping that when he gets a guy hurt the way he did Prograis or the way he did today against Norman, he goes in there and finishes the job. I think you can finish the job without leaving yourself wide open, but maybe he doesn't think so, And listen, he knows how to fight better than I do. Who am I to tell him? But I just don't think fans are going to endear themselves to what they saw tonight. As exciting as it was for a bit, it was only exciting for a Devin Haney fight, right? And it was exciting for the first few rounds, and then it just went into touch and go, touch and grab, touch and go, touch and grab. Not exciting. And I think Eddie Hearn even called it out on the broadcast when he was sitting there next to Conor Benn. I mean, could you imagine a guy like Conor Benn with the fights that he's had against Chris Eubank, going in there against a Devin Haney and just getting, kind of pity-patted around and amateur boxed and grabbed. And, it's just not an entertaining style. He's just not an entertaining fighter, in my opinion. He could be, but I think it would take a huge amount of rewiring, mental rewiring. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen at all. Hawker Mustang says, once Norman got dropped, all of his confidence went away. And all of a sudden, Haney wasn't near as skittish either. His confidence did go a little bit. But here's the thing. Norman's only chance in this fight, and the only thing he was doing, was he would throw he would rush in and throw like a 3 or 4 punch combo and get wrapped up. After doing that 20 times, Devin Haney caught on to it. The guy would go to throw a combo, and Haney would just wrap him up. So he wouldn't walk forward and blitz him with a 3-4 punch combo. He wasn't really doing anything besides that. And so it was kind of an semi-easy win for Devin Haney because, Norman was very basic. That's what he did. He would rush forward, throw a combination of punches. They'd be on the ropes, and Haney would hug him. As the fight progressed, Haney would hug him earlier so that it would drop to a 3-punch combination, then a 2-punch combination. And, by the time we got, 4 or 5 rounds in, Norman just wasn't landing anything. Just wasn't doing anything. And Haney, would just pity-pat him and move around and pity-pat him and move around. And, I think what a lot of people were hoping for was Haney was just going to come out, be this dog, and just finish the job, get in there and just get that kid out of there, you know what I mean? And he just won't do it. It's just not in him. It's just not in him. And he rubs people the wrong way. I feel like the way he acts in the buildup rubs people the wrong way. I feel like the whole situation with Ryan Garcia rubbed people the wrong way. And get this, how badly are you rubbing people the wrong way that a dude is basically caught with performance-enhancing drugs fighting you, and the entire world sides with the dude instead of you? And it wasn't me, because I think fair is fair. I thought it was messed up. I wanted to see Haney. I did want to see, his loss get overturned. I do think, if you're not potentially cheating or busting for PEDs, I do think that if you're keeping it clean, you deserve the victory. But for whatever reason, man, people just can't get on board with Devin Haney. And, I want to say the reason is his antics outside of the ring and the way he fights inside of the ring. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is, 100%. 147 today is pretty weak division, so Haney could become undisputed maybe. Other than the knockdown, it was a very bad fight to watch. Both guys were just trying to survive all night. Norman is strong and basic. He's going to become a gatekeeper contender. And I mean, that's probably what it's going to be unless he goes and, works on his craft. He's going to have to go back and work on his craft. So Haney's the champ. And, I don't know. I don't see people rushing to want to watch Devin Haney after this fight, because I think even the hardcore fans at this point, which, would have stuck around and vouched for him had he gone for the kill today, even the hardcore fans today are probably like, no, bro, you need to go in there and finish the job. You need to finish the job. And he just doesn't have that in him, I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think at this age, what is he, 28, 29? If he ain't doing it now, he's never going to do it. So on to the next fight. If you haven't already, again, I ask you guys, please subscribe to the channel, join the channel, drop a super chat, show some love, man. I would greatly appreciate that. I don't think I've had one of those in like a year. I used to get a lot, but, I kind of went missing for a while, but I'm back. It's every day. It's going to be nonstop. We're going to be dropping videos all the time. And I love interacting with you guys, man. And then get your Fightersrep merch in the link below. That'll help me grow as well. So on to the next fight, man. Bam Rodriguez versus Puma. Bam Rodriguez versus Puma Martinez. There's not much to say here. Bam Rodriguez just too damn good. Puma was just too basic, too one-dimensional. And he got stomped. Hawker Mustang says, I don't believe that dishonest Devin Haney is a clean boxer either. Well, he hasn't popped for anything as far as I know, but, I guess everybody has their opinion. But anyway, Bam Rodriguez, too good for a guy like Puma Martinez, man. There's levels to this. And Bam Rodriguez showed that there are levels to this. And he just went out there and what can I say? Just mopped the floor with Puma Martinez. Easy work. Bam Rodriguez continues to roll, man. And, during the broadcast, they were talking about him potentially fighting Inoue. I don't think he needs to fight Inoue, man. I agree with Mora. I think Inoue's too big. I think Inoue's too strong. And I don't think, he needs to do that. Not that I wouldn't tune in. I would tune in a heartbeat. But I think that's a bit of a stretch for Bam Rodriguez, one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and definitely reminded us of that today. Finally, the other fight, I want to talk about two more. The other fight I want to talk about is Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. Not Abdullah, guys. Please stop with the Abdullah. It's Abdullah. Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. Man, this was a great fight. And in the prediction, again, I thought Bam Rodriguez would win. I thought Abdullah Mason would win. But I thought this would, I thought this fight would be a bit more one-sided than it was. As I watched Noakes at the weigh-in, I was like, oh, okay, this guy's serious. This guy's here to try to win. So I kind of started to change my mind, I saw clips of the weigh-in, but it was too late. I thought Mason was going to win this fight. I don't know. I figured he would win by decision. I thought it would be a little bit clearer than this. I thought Noakes put up a great fight. I actually want to watch Noakes again after this fight, and I definitely want to watch Abdullah Mason again after this fight. I thought he looked great. I know he could have potentially made it easier on himself, according to his corner and the broadcasters. But, man, I think that's what endears you to the fans, when you go out there and you try to, have a bit of a scrap here and there or try to get the guy out of there and finish the job. It's the antithesis of what Devin Haney did. Abdullah Mason has everything that we want to see in Devin Haney. I mean, they just need to they need to hang out. Abdullah Mason needs to invite Devin Haney over for dinner, and they need to talk or beer or whatever. They need to talk about how you can be more exciting, because Abdullah Mason, man, that was the most exciting fight of the night, in my opinion, was Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes. So Abdullah becomes, I think like the youngest champ ever, one of the youngest champs ever, something like that. And Sam Noakes, man, gets a lot of love and respect because he actually made that fight a good fight. He actually made that fight pretty close. Now, here's the thing. I said it beforehand. This was, putting a young kid in there against an older dude, right? Not that Sam Noakes is old, but, late 20s versus barely early 20s is a man versus a boy in some cases, depending on how far along the guy is developmentally speaking. And that was always a danger for me as a promoter. I was always, worried, is this young guy going to be able to handle this fully grown man? So shout out to Abdullah Mason, man. He's only going to get better from this. He showed that he could handle a grown man. And again, shout out to Sam Noakes, man. I think both their stocks went up in this fight. I think you're going to see both guys, even if they don't run it back, they're going to be back in Riyadh season fighting and making money. Because who would not want to watch those two guys fight again? I mean, I want to watch Abdullah Mason and I want to watch Sam Noakes all day, every day. Those guys were amazing. Finally, mighty Muhammad Al-Akil. Al-Akil. I think it's Al-Akil, which means the mind in Arabic. Al-Akil, although it might be something else, but because they spell it with a K. So I don't know, but Al-Akil is the way they're pronouncing it in English. And he looked great, man. He's training with Abel Sanchez. The kid looks good. He's a Saudi prospect. Shout out to Saudi trying to build their fighters and, create a culture of fighting over there. I think that's an awesome idea. I think that's a great way to get more fans out to these events. And it's great for the sport of boxing. And I thought Mighty Mo looked good, man. I thought Mighty Mo looked really good. I mean, he was in there against a guy. Granted, the guy was limited, but he had more experience than him. I think he had 12 fights, right? And a winning record. So, it wasn't – I mean, they didn't give him a whole hand – they didn't give him a whole, I'll say, turkey sandwich instead of ham sandwich. So since we're talking about Riyadh season. They didn't give him a turkey sandwich. But, they gave him a turkey club with this guy. But still, it was with turkey bacon. But it was, it was good. It was a good experience for Mighty Mo, and he looked really good, man. He looked really good, and he looks better in every fight. And I do think the kid has some potential. I look forward to seeing him again, and I think the Saudi fans loved him, man. So that's pretty much, Knuckleheads, all I've got to say about this event. I thought it was a lot of fun. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, join Knucklehead Nation. Join the channel. Help me continue to grow. Let me know what you think, what you want me to talk about next. I'm going to be dropping videos almost on the daily. So I hope to see you guys around. And, we go live every Monday and after all the big fights. So tune in Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific for the Fightersrep podcast. But man, that was a really entertaining card. They've really redeemed themselves since that goofy Times Square card. I will say that. Let me know what you think in the comments section if I didn't catch you on the live. And I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Have a good one.